All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to He's on Fire podcast. I have a very exciting episode with Bo Brack from Locked On Cardinals, and we're going to be talking about the Phoenix Suns victory tonight, 112-94. Devin Booker going for 22 in the third quarter. It was fun watching that game. I was a little sad because of watching Torrey Craig, but you know what? We got the W. Hopefully he becomes a member of our team, and me and JJ are going to get into it a little bit when it comes to that. Lately on the stream, I have been talking about how excited I am for this game. I wasn't nervous. I felt confident. Today, I gotta admit, starting to get nervous. I don't know if I'm confident about it yet, but we're going to find out with Bo. Coming up, He's on Fire podcast. Thanks for doing it.
Urbandici sets, loads up, and it is caught! Jalen strong! It's coming, Matthews, Palmer extending the play, crosses the field, Larry Fitzgerald, there he scores, it's over! It's insane, to the 4-yard line! Prater looking, throws it, alley-oop, oh! He puts it down! He puts it down! They're getting a little wobbly, and a downfield shot, alley-oop, the foot race, they won't get it! Center field, the Diamondbacks are world champions.
I'm starting to get pumped, and that intro gets me pumped every single time. As I said, I am definitely starting to get nervous. Just thinking about the game on Monday, I'm starting to feel the bubble gut starting to come up. But you know what? Let's get everybody on here. First and foremost, my co-host JJ with a different background tonight. Thanks for making it on and making it happen. How's it going for you?
I'm doing all right. For everybody that's watching, I have guests over, so I'm not in the usual J-pad. So, but I'm happy to be on. We have a great guest on tonight, and just shoot the shit talking Cardinals and Suns tonight.
What a big win for the Suns. But let's get into the Arizona Cardinals and bring in our man Bo Brack from Locked On Cardinals. How are we doing tonight, my friend?
I'm just vibing off that open. My God. I mean, every single moment I can remember where I was. The Jalen Strong, I thought we were going to burn down a Four Peaks after that. It was unreal watching that live. We just absolute just madness when Jalen Strong caught that pass from Mike Bercovici. And Jalen Strong, one of the biggest busts that I thought he was going to be solid in the NFL, and just did nothing in Houston. I think he got a cup of coffee with Jacksonville after that, but I was pretty surprised he wasn't an NFL player after his career in Tempe.
I mean, it all started with that draft night, right? I remember watching him come out there was 25 people that are invited to the draft. He comes out, he's waving to everybody. I remember taking a picture. I was like, look at that man, how proud he is right now, coming out of JUCO, and then he makes it big. And then did he get dropped into the second, third, fourth round? He got drafted. I don't even remember. Yeah,
third rounder.
It was a real bummer watching him, and he's making some money on the side now with I want to say it's medical marijuana over in one of the legal states. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, I'm going to try to get him on at some time as well too. The funny story about that was actually my birthday, the Jalen Strong catch, and so we're losing. I'm not feeling good. Okay, pound a few more drinks. Cam Smith, I don't know if you remember the 70-yarder or 60-yarder that Cam Smith broke just before that, to get it to a one-score game, and then they punt, we get the ball back, and then it goes. I was way too inebriated that night. I'm jumping all around. The neighbor from underneath comes pounding on my door. My girlfriend gets it and tells me to be quiet. I'm like, nope, you can call the police on me tonight. I really don't care. Yeah, that was a great memory. So hopefully we can make another playoff memory on Monday night. Talk to me about how you're feeling, Bo. I heard you at the beginning of last night's podcast. I didn't hear it today, You said you were feeling good. You're actually feeling confident. That's where I was at yesterday. I'm not 100% sure today. How are you feeling?
My confidence is gaining each and every day. It's because I look more in depth at how this Rams team is truly struggling, especially on the offensive side of the football, and their quarterback play has been poor, and they've been able to overcome that against some bad teams. I mean, we're talking about the Vikings. We're talking about the Ravens without Lamar Jackson. They're able to sneak by them, and then when they face kind of a real team, they take on San Francisco, and pretty much that passing game cost them the chance to win the game. I mean, it's I like that. And with the pretty much the addition of Jayyy Watt coming back to this defense, which I'm pretty confident he'll be back in the lineup in some capacity, I think that the Arizona Cardinals are going to have a shot to kind of look more like the team they did in week 4 instead of the team that they look like on Monday Night Football against the same Rams squad. The biggest key is going to be the offense. The offense needs to show up. So if the defense is making stops, if they're forcing the Rams offense off the field, if they're forcing takeaways like they did, they've got to capitalize. They got to play that complementary football, but I'm pretty confident in it. I don't hear Cliff Kingsbury speak up too much about his quarterback and how confident he is in him. He did that this week. So, Kyler's just got to be firing in practice right now. So excited about that.
I hope so, man. And I hope Cliff has his little special playbook we've heard a few things about, kind of similar to the Water Boy, You had your Rams correspondent on last night. He had a very interesting observation, which I've always felt. I'm not from Michigan, but all my family's from there. I lived there for 6 years, and they told me all I need to know about Matthew Stafford. Basically, if you can get him not necessarily rattled, just move him off of his spot. Good things can happen for the defense. I kind of expect that coming from the edge, but what he was saying is if we can get defensive line penetration between the center and guard, A gap, B gap, doesn't matter. That's how we can really knock Matthew Stafford off his spot. I'm sure you've watched a little bit of film here or there. You kind of have a grasp on that. Do you agree with that? Or do you think our edge rush is going to be our best bet to get to Matthew Stafford and make him uncomfortable?
No, it's going to come from the interior. And we've seen it for the Cardinals too. I mean, it's kind of their Achilles heel. Like when Kyler Murray gets pressure up the gut, it's tough because you really have no place to go. But when you're kind of more statuesque like Matthew Stafford, you really have no place to go. And we've seen that when he is off his spot, just the tiniest bit, he's a guy that just he goes from a really good MVP caliber quarterback to pedestrian to below average. So if you can get that, I mean, we know what the Cardinals can do as far as Marcus Golden and Chandler Jones, and those guys were both a part of the Monday night loss, but Jayyy Watt wasn't. And that interior push that they could potentially get Jordan Phillips maybe coming back, and Zach Allen, we'll see what his status is. If they can be, a full, all hands on deck in the middle of that and beef up that defensive line, it could be a nightmare game for Matthew Stafford, because what did they do on the Monday night game? They rolled Matthew Stafford out. We even remember that big play from Van Jefferson. It was because he was able to roll out. He didn't have to worry about who was breathing down his neck, and he just put it on a dime to Van Jefferson. Big play to start the second half for the Rams, and they didn't really look back after that. So I think that's key. And Travis Rogers knows what he's talking about. He's post game for this Rams team. He's seen him play every game, and I completely buy into that. I think that's if you can get the pressure up the middle, if you can really win the battle in the trenches, that's a win most of the time.
I kind of completely agree with that after I thought about everything. So going to that defensive line, I didn't think we were going to see Jordan Phillips. Looks like he might be questionable to play. Jayyy Watt's obviously coming back in. I've heard 30 to 35 snaps, kind of the count, maybe a first and second down snap guide, not necessarily third down. What are your thoughts on Jordan Phillips, and how are you feeling about Jayyy Watt as well?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can get Jayyy Watt in any capacity back in this lineup, it's a win. It's what you'll take, right? I mean, if it's 34, 35 snaps, that's going to be 34, 35 snaps where he's going to sell out and he's going to give you everything he's got. And I mean, that's going to be huge for the Arizona Cardinals because, whether it's the rush defense, which was horrible against Seattle to finish the season, and it had been pretty decent the last couple of games before that, it's going to be big to get Jayyy Watt back. Jordan Phillips, he's a rotational guy anyway, and we saw him kind of flash a couple of times this season. It just if you're going to get only a part-time player in Jayyy Watt, to get another guy that can be disruptive would be huge for the Arizona Cardinals. It's just because we know where they could get, so they could kind of wreck that offensive game plan in the interior, that Rams offense. So, it's all going to come down. I'm not an insider by any means as far as what I know what their status is going to be. But if Jayyy Watt, and they're making hype videos of him coming back to practice, I got to imagine he's going to be on the playing field. Jordan Phillips, a little bit less of a hype train, but if you can get him back, you'll take it, man. And then Zach Allen, we saw him have a big play in the loss to Seattle, and he's been playing really well this season, really shown why they utilized the draft pick on him out of Boston College a couple seasons ago. You like Zach Allen's, and you love to see, that sack dance. It's brutally hilarious, and I'll take it.
I'll take it every day of the week and twice on Sunday, as a matter of fact. 3 times this Monday. You guys should have just seen, my wife just came in, and I was on dad duty tonight, and she just came in here on the side and creeped in and laid down a 4-pack here that I've never seen before and said, here you go. So I'm going to have to pop one of these open, but what do you guys think? I've got a Pilsner, a honey cream ale, never heard of it, a Imperial Brown, or a pale ale. What do you guys think I should try tonight?
Pale ale.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, sure. You can get a little spicy with it. Get what was the honey cream?
Honey cream ale. Man. It's from Grid City Beer Works. It's a new brewery here in Salt Lake, and I haven't tried them yet.
We got they got rid of that silly alcohol. You can have more than 3.8%, right?
Yeah, exactly. But you still have to buy food whenever you buy a drink. You have to have some sort of food. You can't just go in and have drinks. But yeah, you can have legitimate beer here. It's great. Guys, don't forget to like the stream and share this out, and subscribe to He's on Fire podcast, as well as our host, ASAP Sports Network. Bo, JJ has been a fan for a while. He's been pestering me to get you on. I wanted to save the all-stars, if you will, for the right moment. So JJ, take it away. What questions do you have for Bo while he's on with us?
Man, I just want to know what are your biggest takeaways from this season? Because, we saw great glimpses early on with this team fully healthy and stuff. And when people just started getting injured, like Robert Alford and Jayyy Watt and Jordan Phillips, like early on in the season, like I still felt pretty confident, and I never really hit the panic button until we lost against the Lions. And I was like, what the hell is this, And I'm just wondering, have you hit the panic button yet to a little bit? Are you hovering over it? And what person's, what injury kind of damaged this team mostly? Because Jayyy Watt's leadership is a thing, but me personally, I think Robert Alford really messed up that backfield, and I just don't know how we can pick it up without him.
Yeah, no, great questions. I'll try to answer all of them here. It's as far as the team overall and how they came out of the gates, and they continue to kind of answer the doubters early on, and everybody's like, no, this Cardinals team's not for real. They're a fluke, and they're going to fizzle out. And, at the end of the day, they were proven to be right in some capacity, but, still they won 11 games. They're in the big dance as far as the postseason. And I don't think the Rams are excited that they have to face them. And I don't think any team in the NFC wanted to face Kyler Murray or this Arizona Cardinals team. But, with all that being said, I think that the Arizona Cardinals still have an issue where they're too much of a sprinter, and they need to be more of a marathon runner. They need to be more consistent at the end of the season, because you can't just kind of turn your nose up or turn a blind eye to how the last 2 seasons have ended for Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray. They fizzled out. They have. And it was just a disappointment, obviously, to be on the outside looking in at 8-8 last year. And it was an improvement off of 5 wins, which is good, an overall win. And then this season to improve off of that and finally kind of punch your ticket in a weird way, but still get to the playoffs and win 11 games. That's nothing I'm going to turn my nose up on or discount. But still, hey, the duo of Kyler Murray, Cliff Kingsbury, they're learning, and this is something they have to learn from and continue to grow as a young coach, play caller, young signal caller. You can't just kind of be content. So as far as that goes, I think it's an overall success, but this team should be very disappointed with how things ended. Fan base is obviously disappointed. And as far as the confidence level going into a playoff game, I don't think, you can go in there. I think you'd be naive saying, hey, they're going to go in there and just blow the doors off the Rams. They're just going to be able to turn it on, flip a switch, and be back to week 4 where they dominated this team. So it's going to take a focused effort. Robert Alford is a gigantic loss for this team. One of if Joe Burrow didn't exist, if there weren't other guys out there that were, playing bigger positions that were making a comeback, Robert Alford should be in the discussion for comeback player of the year. I mean, what he was able to do was pretty extraordinary. He didn't play for 2 straight seasons, and they were pretty confident once they could get back in there that he was going to be able to do exactly what he did. You didn't have to think twice about the other corner in this defensive secondary. He was solid all season long. So that was a bigger loss than I think a lot of people thought about when it first happened. But as far as which injury was the biggest to me, and there's been some big ones. You mentioned Jayyy Watt, but I think DeAndre Hopkins, because we've seen this team just struggle just mightily in the red zone since DeAndre Hopkins left. 8 touchdowns in that area. He was a guy that Kyler Murray could look to each and every play, no matter if it's 1, 2, 3 defenders, Hail Murray style, and get him the football. You could rely on him. AJ Green struggled. Nobody's emerged. Even Zach Ertz, who we know is a good red zone threat, hasn't been that guy. So I think as far as being that elite offense, having James Conner have 18 touchdowns, having Kyler Murray, but once you take DeAndre Hopkins out of it, it's just a completely different look down there. And when you're going from 7 points to 3 points every time you're in that area, it's crushing for this team, and it's proved to be so. So I think I answered all of those questions, right?
Yeah, I believe so. I do have one more for you because you and Alex Clancy on the other half of the Locked On Cardinals.
Who?
Mr. Clancy.
Yeah, I don't know who you're talking about.
But
Never heard of him.
I never heard of him.
There's a rambling madman that I've cracked the mic with every day that I put up with. Is that who you're talking about?
Passionate. We call it passionate.
All right.
Very angry man. You guys have sort of touched on it throughout the weeks and stuff. With like Kyler not necessarily stepping up, or it's like Cliff's play calling and stuff. What do you think is the biggest issue with this offense? Yeah, Hopkins is hurt and Rondale's been out for a while too, and I think that totally scrapped more than half of the playbook, and we're very limited on what we have right now. Like, do you think it's more of Kyler's accountability or Cliff's sort of naiveness and arrogance, if you want to put it that way?
Like pretty political. I think it's a combination of both. I think Cliff could probably pull him out of there with looking at some film and also giving him kind of saying, just rip it, dude. Just rip it. Find a guy open in the red zone and just kind of let it go. Because when you look at Kyler Murray's numbers overall, JJ, especially over the last 3 games, they're nice. Like he's completing like 70% of his passes. He's got 4 touchdowns. He has no picks. He's taking care of the football. But damn, like I almost would take a Matthew Stafford where he's taking some risks and he's turning the ball over, but he's being aggressive and he's putting his team in a position to succeed with that. I'd like to see him be more aggressive, because when that's happened so far, like if he just kind of put his foot on the gas a little bit, there's been success for this team. And I'd like to see that a little bit from the quarterback, who I think is a little too careful with the football. And now come Monday, there's no reason. I mean, it's survive in advance. It's win or go home. So hopefully Kyler Murray's playing with a little bit of an edge, and he can he just kind of steps up and is the player that we think he can be.
Do you think Kyler Murray is going to have the best game of his career? That's the big question, right? Thanks to old Cliffy.
It is, yeah. And I mean, Cliff kind of putting his quarterback, putting the pressure on his QB, but I like it because it kind of just what I just said. I think that there needs to be that pressure on Kyler Murray, because anytime there's been pressure on Kyler Murray in his career,
he plays well.
He's answered it, right? I mean, even in college, it's like, hey, nobody's going to be able to follow up Baker Mayfield, Heisman Trophy winning campaign, #1 pick in the draft. And what's Kyler Murray do? He does exactly the same thing with really limited exposure at the college football level. He, the baseball player, he's drafted in the top 10 by the Oakland Athletics. And then, he makes his, weird rise to the #1 spot. And wins the offensive rookie of the year and then improves as he did in year 2. And he comes out and is lighting the world on fire like he did in year 3 before the injury. And it's just like, he's kind of answered the bell every time. So for Cliff Kingsbury to kind of put that out, kind of speak it into the existence, you're hoping that he can do it. Now, we've seen some pretty damn good games from Kyler Murray already, right? I mean, it hasn't been on the national stage. It hasn't been in primetime, 0-3 in primetime this year. But he's had 5 total touchdowns before. If he can have 4 total touchdowns in a game with the stakes as high as they are on Monday night, you could call that probably his best game ever.
I would tend to agree completely, but it kind of all starts with not taking those 9 to 10, 11 yard sacks. He is a league leader, in yards per sack at like 9.7. We had John Voida from Suns Jam Session on, also a big Cardinals fan. He looked it up for us. Joe Burrow was sacked like 51 times for what do you say, JJ, like 380 yards, and Kyler Murray was sacked for 26 times, so almost exactly half, for like 265 or 270 yards.
Damn, that's a great stat.
Yeah, so 9.7, 9.6 yards per sack. So it all starts with the guys up front, our offensive line. What is this going to be, like the third time total? Our whole offensive line, the guys who we want at each position that are going to be there. What are your realistic expectations from this offensive front, considering Aaron Donald, Von Miller, and company?
Yeah, it's going to come down to Kyler knowing what to do with the football once it's snapped, right? I mean, those sacks are him either trying to make a play and it completely failing and trying to do too much like he did in his rookie season. And, they were able to kind of weather the Aaron Donald storm in week 4. And I think that they're capable of doing that, but it's going to take, as JJ, I think, fell.
We just lost JJ.
Did his floor collapse? My God. It's like he just.
Is there an earthquake in Arizona?
The earth. Not that I felt. I mean, as far as that's going to be huge. I mean, getting Rodney Hudson back a couple games ago, the guards being back at full strength, you got to have a bounce back game from DJ Humphries. He was terrible against Seattle. Just a turnstile there. He was penalized in the key situation. Kelvin Beachum needs to step up at the right tackle position. So it's gonna take a Herculean effort, no doubt about it. I think that Aaron Donald, there's a scenario where Aaron Donald still eats. He could get 1 to 2 sacks, but as long as you're still making big plays, you're avoiding consistently getting negative plays on offense and putting yourself in second, third, and manageable. We've seen that this offense is solid, and in those third and manageables, they've been able to get some big plays, at least early on. We haven't seen it lately, but that's where they really like to go for kind of the jugular there.
Yeah. And real quick, I just want to give everybody a score update since we're starting to standing watch in the NBA. It's January. We're starting to get there. The Mavericks are up 18 on the Grizzlies right now. Luka Doncic has 23 points, 9 boards, and 9 assists already. John Morant with 17 and 7 assists. This is kind of a interesting one because I thought the Grizzlies were about to go for their 12th or 13th straight right now. So something to keep in mind, Suns fans, as we continue our conversation with Bo Brack from Locked On Cardinals. Please, again, share this stream out, like and subscribe to our channel as well as ASAP Sports Network. So we've talked about Kyler Murray. We've talked about the offensive line. The last line of defense is sometimes, in this case with Kyler Murray, our running backs. We've seen James Conner and Chase Edmonds have to pick up a lot of the slack this year. Honestly, a little more than I personally remember a running back doing. Outside of the blocking that we expect from James Conner, what are your realistic expectations for two guys that are banged up, probably both with rib injuries? Yeah, it's like on the side and lower, but that's like where running backs get tackled. So it's probably going to hurt quite a few times when they get tackled. What are your realistic expectations for our backfield? And do you expect ASU great Benjamin to get any touches?
I don't think so. I don't think. And there's a big contingent of Cardinals fans, and I'm sure ASU fans that want to see Eno get ample opportunity to tote the rock. And I don't think it's going to happen. If it hasn't happened by now, it's definitely not going to happen when the stakes the highest against the the Los Angeles Rams. But as far as the duo and getting these guys back, it's going to be huge to have that. And I think that Chase Edmonds is the best back for this team between the 20s. Like, he's the guy that can run the scheme where he's quick enough to get to the outside, right? That zone run scheme. And then because you see James Conner as successful as he was in the red zone and catching the football, his yards per carry were pretty atrocious just because I don't think he's quick enough to get to the outside on those kind of normal runs where they're just trying to get good field position. But when they're where it means the most, that's where James Conner has been the best. So to kind of have that thunder lightning to steal from the Giants about a decade ago with Tiki Barber and Ron Dane, it's nice to have that, because when this team was successful against the Rams, 216 yards on the ground, and it was a full effort from all three of those guys. It was James Conner cashing in when it meant in the red zone. It was Chase Edmonds gashing them between the 20s, and it was Kyler Murray just making plays to extend drives. Like we remember 3rd and 16, he goes 18 yards, he hits over 20 miles per hour and made poor Leonard Floyd just look like he was standing still. And it put the Cardinals in a prime position to cash in, and they did that. And it's just going to take all three of those guys really showing off what they can do, athleticism with their legs. And, it's a good time to get healthy at that position, even though, as you mentioned, I completely agree. I mean, if anybody's had a rib injury before, they know that it's brutal. It's brutal.
Yeah, I mean, not only have I had ribs out, I've cracked a rib and everything. You go to pull out a chair, your desk chair, and sit down, or you reach up to grab a plate. You're just like, you're wincing a little bit. So
God
obviously,
you sneeze, you want to die.
Exactly. No comedies. You can't watch those. I don't have professional trainers, monitoring what I do every hour, every minute of every day, like these guys do. But we heal probably pretty close to the same, right? So
Sure.
I can't imagine gutting it out and doing what you love, a football game, with cracked injuries, a heel injury, guys with the toe injuries, just little stuff like that I'm like, no, hun, I can't take the garbage out. Sorry. And these guys are going out and they're going balls to the wall for a sport that they love. So props to them. I'm hoping the offensive line can get it together. I'm hoping Chase Edmonds, James Conner play, and they can play to the ability that we know that we're playing of, as well as K1. But Cliff Kingsbury, when Colt McCoy was our starter, it seemed like that was Cliff Kingsbury's best play calling of his NFL career. I don't know if I've 100% seen that with Kyler Murray. Now, it could just be Murray magic, and he just makes things look easy as well, too. A lot of things are going to come down to Cliff. He does quite a few calls where, you and I, if we're going to play Madden against each other, we wouldn't do some of the things that he does in Madden. What are you expecting from Cliff Kingsbury? Let's put the pressure on him a little bit. Is he going to dial up just a masterful game plan, or is he going to be the Cliff Kingsbury that dials a QB draw on 3rd and 19 when Kyler Murray hurts his ankle like he did last year in the closing game?
Yeah. No, you hope good Cliff shows up. It's going to come down to Raheem Morris, too, on the other side, the DC for the LA Rams. Thankfully, it's not like a meeting of the minds, a battle between McVay and Cliff Kingsbury, but in a way, it's going to be. And if you had to kind of go with that matchup, of course, you're going to give the edge to McVay 100 times out of 100. But yeah, this is a chance for Cliff Kingsbury to kind of show off that he is every bit the reason why they took the chance on him when he's a failed coach in the Big 12. He was 35-40. All he was a pretty face down there. And now, the patience is paying off, and the guy that they envision him being, it's come to fruition. So it's going to take him being early season Cliff. But when you mentioned like Colt versus Kyler, like Colt knows exactly what to do with the football. Colt knows how to run through his progressions a little bit better than Kyler Murray, but he's also a little bit more content putting the ball underneath, before the sticks. And I think Kyler Murray's looking more big play. It's like a par golfer versus a birdie, a guy who's shooting for birdie every time. It's going to be, Kyler's going to go for it, and you might get burned by it because, on 3rd and 2, you didn't pick it up. Or, you got Colt McCoy who's completely content. It's like, I'm going to dump this thing off to James Conner, and he's going to do work with it. So Rondale Moore had some good games with Colt McCoy, at least moving the chains. So it's just a different look. And I think Colt McCoy is a good quarterback. Because if you want to play that game where you methodically move the ball down the field, Kyler Murray is more kind of going for the big play. And it's just with that kind of mentality, you just have to play a perfect game. You got to avoid mistakes. So that's going to be tough for them. But I don't expect them to change who they are. There's been enough success for them to do that.
You got some props here from Todd Helseth. Sorry if I mispronounced that. What? Someone who talks about Colt? Finally, someone who actually wants to acknowledge him. If you listen to our podcast, we absolutely did. We even did a whole segment with his picture popping up and everything. We appreciated what he did. And I feel confident if anything were to unfortunately tragically happen to Kyler, I mean, I don't know any Cardinals fan who wouldn't feel confident. So the last thing I want to talk about, we kind of got an offense. I wanted to finish up defense with this guy, and it's Marco Wilson. Mm-hmm. Marco Wilson looked like an absolute stud of a defensive player. I mean, the guy still is, right? He's a rookie. He probably should have been number 1 draft pick out of Florida, or at least a first round draft pick out of Florida. Things got crazy there. Falls to us. We get lucky. And then we have this 3-headed monster of Byron Murphy, Robert Alford, and Marco Wilson. Nobody saw that coming. But the more you saw Marco play, the more you just said, damn, I did. Along with Jalen Thompson. Those are my 2 surprises this year. He was able to shut down OBJ in Cleveland from what I saw. Not so much on the Monday Night Football game against the Rams. He was visibly upset. He was throwing down his helmet and hitting it, whatever he was doing, because he was close to making quite a few plays. Mm-hmm. Was he legitimately shutting down OBJ in Cleveland, or was that a part of the Baker Mayfield thing and what we were able to do that game? And is Marco Wilson capable and able to maybe not shut him down per se, but maybe hold him to 4 or 5 catches for sub 60, 70 yards, something like that?
Yeah, I think he's capable. Absolutely. We'll see where he is with his shoulder. Practice the other day. I don't think he was available today. You had no Alford, and then you heard they're saying Bashaud Breeland, who they picked up from the Vikings, could see significant playing time, which is kind of concerning because as much as I watched a lot of Cardinals games, anytime I would watch just around the NFL, I hadn't seen a cornerback get picked on more than Bashaud Breeland. I mean, he was just target practice for opposing quarterbacks. So it could be scary if he gets some heavy PT. But as far as Wilson's concerned, absolute toolbox, 43.5-inch vertical. We know he's like a sub 4.4 guy as far as speed wise. Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford, just, the one play that you can think of from that Monday night game, like that was an impossible play. I mean, he nearly broke up that pass. It was just, it was magic.
Where Cooper Kupp was going right to pylon. Oh, God.
It was just magic.
It was a finger.
So you can't really blame Wilson for that, but he needs help. Like he needs help from the entire secondary needs help from the front 7. Like the front 7 has to have a special game if they want to have a chance. Like you mentioned, the interior pressure, got to get that right. You got to have. We'll see what if Isaiah Simmons is available. If he's not, that's going to be a huge void for the Arizona Cardinals. But on that level, you got to be firing on all cylinders. And then you've got the defensive secondary, like the guys behind him. I think that more of the Rams' success was because Budda Baker and Jalen Thompson had some blown assignments in that game. And when you're not helping out a 4th round pick out of Florida, I mean, he can be as talented as they come, but if guys aren't helping out in coverage, he's just going to be, taking on a guy like OBJ one-on-one. You're not going to win that battle. So it's just going to take a collective effort. And I think if it is, Marco Wilson is more than capable of handling it. But if it's him on an island and he's got to match up with a guy that's got all the tricks, it's going to be a long day. But they've shown on several occasions that they could be good. But they've also shown in this, you get this with a rookie or a young cornerback secondary, that you can have a long day.
Yeah, I completely agree. And Todd says, I don't understand why they didn't run Colt out there against the Seahawks. Personally, I think it's because they were just drowning, and the Cowboys game was a nice up, but you wanted to go into the playoffs and not back into it like we did. You wanted to go out there, win, get everybody on the right page. So I think it was good that Kyler played and hoping to come out with the win. That's just my personal take on it. Bo, is there any X factors that you think that the Cardinals have, or any tricks up their sleeve that we haven't talked about or covered yet? Anything that we're missing?
We got to have good Matt Prater, right? Matt Prater, we've seen him he's slumped a couple times. He had the Seahawks game. Luckily, they were able to win that in Seattle.
I'm going to give you a drop right here to not mess you up, but
Boom shakalaka!
Absolutely. It is the He's on Fire podcast, so
right?
I got to do that. Matt Prater, yes.
Yeah, Prater didn't show up against the Colts on Christmas night, and that was huge for them, huge loss for them. So I think Prater and the special teams, I mean, we've seen the special teams under Jeff Rodgers make some big plays throughout the season. I thought in Dallas, it was huge for them, kind of changed the momentum of that game. So there's the X factor, and got to have a big game from Christian Kirk. I think Christian Kirk can be the guy that can kind of really get you back on track where they can't figure out what's going on with AJ Green. Christian Kirk, if he shows up, he can pick up the slack in the for the receiving corps. So those are my.
He's heating up.
There you go. There's my X factors.
And JJ, do you have anything real quick? I got an Arizona State question I want to ask you that's off subject a little bit, but JJ,
Sure.
do you have anything for Bo regarding the Cardinals and the big game Monday night?
Yeah. Sorry, my camera isn't on. My girl's computer fell off the mount and just totally shut my shit down. So now my camera isn't turning on. But sorry about that.
Rejected.
Yeah, that's exactly what it did to my computer. But yeah, I tweeted today, I think Christian Kirk on Monday needs to be treated like wide receiver one. He can run the routes. When his hands are there, he's catching all of them, and he can beat people off the run. Unlike AJ Green, where he can if it's an ISO situation, man on man, AJ Green can have a step or two ahead of the corner, but Christian Kirk, Kyler just needs to find him. I think Christian Kirk is definitely going to be the defining offensive threat outside of Kyler that we definitely need to utilize. And then, Rodney Hudson, he's second to none. What helps this offense move the way that it does. I just hope Max Garcia can hold his end, and hopefully we don't see Josh Jones. So
man, he's fallen from grace this entire season. Where he started, you're looking at the pass rush win rates or where he's winning at the line of scrimmage, and he's been a liability the last 5-6 games, penalized, big penalties in red zone. Yeah, I hear you. Josh Jones, it's you hope he can go back to the drawing board this offseason and figure it out, because he's talented, no doubt about it. You saw what he's able to do at Houston in college, and what he's been able to do when he's going well. But yeah, can't rely on him come Monday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Arizona State football, it was quite a year. Expectations, this is where we should have been, and this is where we were, right? This is where we always are. And I live in Salt Lake, and my wife is a big Utah Utes fan, so I had to live through all of this year. And I just want to get to that level. And we're not going to, because of our recruiting allegations and all that fun stuff that we get to go through right now. Diamante Traynham going to Ohio State as a linebacker, which seems totally weird to me, because he seemed like just a different animal, a different breed out there. And I thought he was going to be something. But we retain Herm Edwards. I think for the first time I can remember since the Pac-12 era, Arizona State isn't losing a coach. We're not going on a coaching search, which ultimately can be a good thing, but we still have 3 guys out. The tight ends coach, the DBs coach, Chris Hawkins, all those guys that are in the alleged recruiting scandal. None of them have even been brought back, right? They haven't been brought back. They haven't been fired, not replaced. Everything's just kind of in limbo, but it all falls to Herm Edwards coming back next year. Did you agree with Herm Edwards coming back as an ASU alum? Do you want to see him coming back and succeed, or were you ready just to start with the new?
No, I mean, the knee-jerk reaction, it's the grass is greener. Who's available? Who could you bring in? I just don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be. It seemed like it was a good time to hit reset, right? But I think after the Jaden Daniels high wire act is done officially after next season, that might be the time to hit the reset button. It's going to be interesting, just because Jaden Daniels just wasn't good. I mean, he wasn't, and there was high expectations for him. And it's not the same as the Cardinals, but you have to have solid play from your QB. They just didn't get it. He was okay, right? But they needed a little bit more elevated play than that. So I don't know. I mean, you are who you are sometimes, and you're going to have to, at the end of the day, it wasn't like a disaster season. Sure. Like you felt like you didn't tap into the potential and reach that potential, but I guess maybe I've been beaten down and I've got, that's just what I'm used to. It's like Stockholm syndrome, but I think that, if you can continue, the good thing about Herm is he's got a deep well as far as who he can bring in for assistant coaches. He's been around the block, coaching ranks at the NFL level. He's got a deep, tree, a ton of branches as far as coaching tree goes. So confident he can bring somebody in. So it's just, and you got to weather this storm as far as the recruiting scandal. So it's going to take, you just kind of have to go with that, because otherwise, who do you bring in? I mean, do you have somebody in mind that you would want to bring in that you could energize this program and take it to the heights that it's, I mean, it's this just vicious circle that's been going on for decades now. I mean, as far as you think that it's in place and they're just a coach away, they can bring in the right talent to succeed. Why can't they succeed? Who doesn't want to come to Tempe and play in the winter? You don't know. I mean, it doesn't make sense, but I just don't know who was available. And it was a bit messy offseason. Like there were some high profile jobs, more so than ever before. I mean, LSU, Notre Dame, Florida, Oklahoma. I mean, all those, USC, it was all open.
Potentially Michigan, we're talking too.
Right.
Wasn't Texas one too?
Yeah. I mean, Sark's down there, but soon, JJ, I'm sure, with the Sarkeesian, but it's never going to be a good time to cut bait. But you just hope at some point, especially just because of Herm's age, that they're starting to figure out like who's the next guy, who's going to be the guy that we can tap into that can be the next star. Because that's the only way it's going to happen. Like you're not going to be able to bring in a proven commodity. If so, he's going to come in with a ton of baggage, and it's going to be like a Rich Rod, Todd Graham situation. Sure. But, with that, like all that's an even playing field across the league, across the NCAA. It's like you're not going to be able to beat out the blue bloods of college football.
We can. It's unfortunate because I remember living on the East Coast, living up in Michigan and Atlanta for college, we didn't have access to the Pac-12 or Fox Sports at that time, right? So I'm watching the game cast like everybody did in the early and mid 2000s. But even back then, everyone's saying, once we get the new practice field and the practice bubble, we're going to get people. Okay, now once we get new uniforms and a new brand, they're going to go, okay, we're in the Pac-12 now. Once we get a new stadium and we got that, and it's still the same thing. It's unfortunate. Always something university, and that's what we're known for. But let's just hope Monday night it's not one of those things we have to relive. I love that you're feeling more confident, Bo. I love that JJ's feeling confident. Yeah. I was going up. I'm starting to come down just a little bit. So after this interview, I'm going up a little bit more. And I'm looking forward to listening to your podcast tonight or tomorrow. Bo, tell everybody and our viewers where they can find you and listen and hear your work.
Yeah, you can, wherever you find podcasts, you can listen to Locked On Cardinals. It's free and available on all platforms. You want to watch us, I don't know why you'd want to do that, but we're on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have great Cardinals conversation. It's great debate. It's two people that want success for this team, but different ideas of how you can achieve that. And it's been a fun ride all season long. We're so thankful for everybody that's tuned into the podcast and listened. But Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find it, Stitcher, we're all there. Of course, we've got our link tree up on our Twitter account at LockedOnAZCards and at Bo Brack. Easiest one to find me, Bo Brack.
Thank you so much for joining us. As we said pre-show, we've been listening to you. I mean, I've been listening to you for at least 2 or 3 years now. I don't know about JJ. I'm sure it's about the same. So always appreciate your insight, and we've had to quote you a few times. But thank you for your work. Thank you for all you do, and thank you for coming on, my friend.
Man, it's been great. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you guys listening and watching as long as you have.
He's on fire! He's on fire!
We'll get to the double one for you. Have a good one, Bo. Thank you.
You guys too. Have a great Friday.
Cheers.
You too.
Man, that was awesome, wasn't it, JJ?
Yeah, man. That's low-key a dream come true for Arizona fans, Yeah, I've been watching Locked On Cardinals since 2019. Since that season, and just listening to them, and it's kind of crazy to finally talk to him now, and see how how much they have grown just as a podcast for them. Alex, he's a great guy. He's a very passionate fan. He kind of acts like me, when the Cardinals lose, like it's like, man, fuck this, fuck that, like this team is something else.
Rejected.
But like, they
Remember,
have
we
a great
can't drop
show.
F-bombs now.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yes. But
sorry,
yeah.
Jay, Ness, if you're listening, sorry, ASAP Sports Network.
They have a great podcast. Check them out. They're very informative. They know their stuff. And every Thursday, usually during the season, they have a collab with another team.
The crossover. That's my favorite episode.
The crossover Thursdays. And those are the days I look forward to, just listening to Insight and, a little bickering and badgering back and forth, but it's all out of good fun.
I love it how Bo comes on and he's just nice and steady. Welcome to Locked On Cardinals, and Alex come in. Look, this is what needs to happen. Cliff Kingsbury needs to, and he just takes it up a notch. And it's like, let's go. But in all honesty, they were great to listen to during the pandemic last year when
absolutely
everything was going down. You were locked in place, and then you can listen to their podcast. They were great. But JJ, we've been pretty fortunate on this podcast. We got Blake Murphy from Revenge of the Birds. I'm working to get Johnny Venerable to come on as well too. We got Matthew Lissy and John Voida from Suns Jam Session. We've really had the cream of the crop on this podcast. So if you're new tuning in, you've already heard Bo on here. You've heard some of the guys that we've been able to get on. Please go on YouTube, subscribe to us, share us out. We are trying to bring you the absolute best content as we can. We're fans. We're not paid for this. We get like 2 cents a listen or something like that. I think I cashed out the other day and I had like $7 total from like the entire time. We're not making money on this. No, we're not. We're taking the time out of our day to create thumbnails and do all this because we love this sport and we are passionate about it. So please like this stream. Please share this out and subscribe and hit us up and interact with us in the chat. We love to interact. Anything you guys bring up, we'll go and we'll drop it. Let's go over to some Phoenix Suns action real quick. Were you able to watch the game tonight while I load up our background here?
Yeah, I watched about 70% of it. I was up doing stuff and I watched whatever I could, but god dang, DeAndre Ayton just went crazy tonight, man. Like just everything just seemed to fall for him.
I'm gonna steal something from Suns Jam Session. Sorry if you guys are watching. Who is your Suns Jam star of the night? Would you go with Book or would you go with DA?
Man, like when you're thinking of Jam star of the game or the night, it has to be consistency. And like I believe DA only had 2 shots in the second half. Booker kind of had it on the whole game, so you kind of have to go with Booker. But all around, great defense. I kind of like Jay Crowder. His shot wasn't necessarily there, but his defense
until the end, until like his last 2 threes.
Yeah, then
the only threes of the night, by the way.
Yeah, and then Mikal, he wasn't shooting like that, but the defense was there, and this Suns team only allowed 3 players to be above 10 points, Karis LeVert, then Justin Holiday and Sabonis. They're 3 main scorers, but they just couldn't get it done at the end of the day. But
bro, can we talk about Sabonis while you just hit on him? Freaking, I was just on here being like, this dude is a stud. He's this, he's that. He killed us last year when we played them. 4 for 10. 14 points. He did have 14 rebounds. He did have 6 assists, but the 14 points, I was surprised how non-energetic, into the game, whatever term you want to use. I was just surprised at his lack of scoring, I guess, ultimately. Were you?
Like it doesn't necessarily surprise me. I just know the sort of player Sabonis is. He's usually pretty consistent, but just the NBA talk right now is Indiana blowing up. So like probably his mind is off of it. Justin Holiday, I think he's trying to increase his trade value. I think it's all around kind of like bad vibes with his team. So I'm not totally going to kill Sabonis. This team isn't expected to really do much, but we've seen what Sabonis could do. He's a really solid player. He can ruin anyone's given night. So
Yeah.
I think he just had an off night. I don't think he was all the way there. Like we see DA have those games, and it's not a big deal.
We got to see a little bit of Torrey Craig tonight. He made some pretty good plays. He hit a couple threes. He also made quite a few bad plays. There was quite a few times he fouled Book. He jumped up and Book, would jump into him. Not necessarily jump into him, but he did a little bit. And it just, I love Torrey Craig. Don't get me wrong. He does a lot of good things, but for as many good things as he does, I also saw quite a few boneheaded things. And tonight just kind of looked like a typical Torrey Craig game. I miss him. I'd love for him to be on the team. I don't know if playing 25 minutes a game is necessarily where he, should be at. What did you see from Torrey Craig?
Ah, man, like I miss him so much. Like he's wearing the wrong colors of him. But
hold on. I'm late.
He's on fire.
There.
It was nice seeing Torrey Craig again. I saw him dapping up the guys on the opposite bench, telling saying what's up, and like it's all love over here in Phoenix with him.
He knows.
Yeah, he's welcome back anytime. But I don't know what you remember from last year, but I don't necessarily remember Torrey Craig playing bad when he was over here.
I'm telling you, go back. If anybody were to go back and watch the film, like other than the game 6 when he guarded the hell out of Paul George in the second half and pretty much won us the game and shut him down. Like I saw so many times he was just lackadaisical. I don't want to say lazy, but there was moments that he would just space and he wouldn't try as hard as other times. I just saw that from him. Like, yeah, decent enough shooter, great size, small ball 5, all that. There were times he just didn't give it his all when he was right there able to make a play. And I see things like that more than I see the good because I'm a coach in basketball. Yeah. So I'm always saying what you're not doing. I'm the one we can always improve and do better. Coach, we just won by 75. We could have won by 80, bitch. Like I'm that kind of coach. So that's just me and what I see from him. I love him. I see it. But if I don't see an all-out motor, I'm going to have issues with you. I saw that with Book before Chris Paul got here. I had issues with Book. I wanted to get rid of Booker. I did. Straight up. Even when Paul got in and we started 8-8, I was like, dude, trade Booker for Beal. Like, I'm tired of him. And now, and he's starting to do this a little bit more, and that's annoying me. But you know what? He puts his butt down and he plays defense, and I'm not mad about that at all. I love the way Booker's playing. I love that he's kind of an old head at only 24, 25 years old. That's just what I saw out of Torrey Craig. I didn't see the all-out motor, which is what pisses me off about DeAndre Ayton. It's what pisses me off about Chris Paul. I get it with Chris Paul. Chris Paul wants to delegate to everybody and delegate, and he plays not selective defense, but he kind of picks and chooses his spots. He'll be in the position, and if the ball goes his way, he's going to steal that bitch. You know what I mean? And he'll smack the ball out. Mikal Bridges goes all out. Cam Payne goes all out. Cam Johnson, go all out. Jay Crowder, go all out. You know, a lot of guys, JaVale McGee, Biyombo, they go all out. And so I can't say anything about him. DeAndre Ayton, we question it. It's a legitimate question that people have. Is he trying hard? Is he this? Is he that? It's something that we've been talking about his whole career. Devin Booker, we don't question that anymore. But that's what I saw out of Torrey Craig that just frustrated me about him. I get wanting him to come back, but do you think it's possible, JJ, that we had the opportunity to re-sign him and they said no because of anything that I'm saying? Do you think that's possible? Because we didn't, it's not like we replaced him with another wing player, right? We replaced him with, you could say JaVale McGee, but I would say that's more of a Saric replacement.
There's a lot of ways you can look at it. I think it was just more in the bigger plan because obviously we saw what this team's potential is. And it the finals came down to just like a couple of bad plays, bad offensive possessions, and some bad switching on the defensive side of things. And Torrey Craig got hurt early in that series. Giannis,
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Giannis messed up his knee. We're not going to get into that right now.
Not a basketball play.
But like what I saw from Torrey Craig
Vlogs
last
is here. What's up, Vlogs?
What's up, Iverson? But I saw something different with Torrey Craig last year. It was like I just saw a guy trying to really make a statement on a team, because he's been bouncing around the league a little bit. Like he was on the Nuggets and a couple other teams before that. And I always thought he was a solid player. And when we acquired him, I was actually generally excited because like we were lacking in size. We were lacking in sort of the defensive versatility. And he brought that for most of the season. And I think where you're seeing the issue with him, with his motor and him not fully being, present, was maybe him not knowing his role. And because by the time he joined the team, everybody just sort of already knew what they were supposed to do. He was the only addition to that team.
I see where you're going with that. I could definitely see that. I've got two schools of thought of that. One, you're a professional and you've been told what to do probably a million times and you need to pick it up. But also two, we heard, and I've said it on this podcast recently, I think with John, that the Suns only had like 14 total practices all of last year. So it's not like he had time to go in there and practice. So both sides of the fence, the way you want to choose that. Sorry, go on. That was an interesting point.
No, what I saw from him, I really liked it, but I think James Jones was looking more into the future. He's like, hey, I really want to bring you back, but it's just like the way this team is projecting, I just don't know what we're able to do right now. And with sports, like you move with the times and stuff at the time. We didn't think we thought Kaminsky was going to come back. He was going to flourish a little more. He can be in a role. Eventually, you're going to get Sarge back. We're going to move on from Jalen Smith. And a lot of things have changed, like we got JaVale. He's done a great job since he's came here. And then, Kaminsky's knee went out. Then there goes another size issue. Then all these COVID issues start popping up, and DA was gone in the beginning of the season. Then he's just coming back from his COVID stuff. So I think James Jones is sort of looking like we do need bodies in the future. I just don't know if it's Torrey Craig. I would love to have him back just as a fan. I just don't know where we could put him now. I think it's a little too late for that. If we can get him cheap, fuck it. But book it. Sorry.
Rejected.
That's 3. You're going to get us kicked off, JJ. You're going to get us kicked off, man.
I'm sorry.
I need to put you in timeout just for a minute. Good Lord.
But I'm really more moving towards we need another scoring guard for the secondary, because
Eric Gordon.
Yeah, I'm really leaning towards acquiring Eric Gordon somehow. I just don't know what Houston will accept for Eric Gordon. I don't know if Eric Gordon wants to move on.
Let's get into that real quick. Todd Helseth again. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. He brought up a good point today. Did you see this on Twitter that the Celtics offered Dennis Schroeder for Jalen Smith? Did you see that?
I did, and I'm not entirely against that, honestly.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm for it. I don't know if I'm against it. I know that him and
I'm not
Schroeder
against
and Chris.
it.
Yeah, Chris Paul and Schroeder played together in OKC. I mean, they got the 6th seed. That team was supposed to be garbage, and they got the 6th seed in the bubble. So I'm not against it. I don't know if we can see. Here's the thing: if we don't have Jalen Smith and Cam Johnson still out, now what do we do?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I mean, are we going to play Biyombo at the 4? No. Are we going to play more Ish Wainwright? That's a little scary. I would be for this move if we were able to get a Torrey Craig, something along those lines. But now we're already talking Eric Gordon, Schroeder, Torrey Craig. I mean, are we going to be adding a little bit too much? If we add somebody like Gordon, I hope we ship out Shamet. Is that crazy to say?
No, I don't think it is. Sham had a pretty decent game today, in my opinion, but he's just inconsistent right now, and it may click, it may not.
He's been inconsistent for 41 games.
Yeah, I just don't know with him right now. It's just weird, but like if I was James Jones, I would really look into the Eric Gordon situation. He's probably already looked into it and just trying to see what the right time is and what other offers are.
It's crazy because he's still got 3 years left, so we could have control over Eric Gordon for 3 more years, which I mean, I'm definitely not opposed to. I'm trying to look up to see if anybody in the chat knows how old he is offhand. Go ahead and drop that. I'm trying to find out how old he is.
Isn't he like
look.
28 or like 30?
God,
like
dude,
that?
I think he came out with Anthony Davis, I believe, in that because they played the Indiana-Kentucky game that year when Indiana upset them. That was one of the best college basketball games that I can. Why did I go to schedule? Go to roster, you idiot. Okay, here we go. Eric Gordon, gonna click on him. 33.
33. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's not a
playing,
spring.
right?
He's not a spring chicken. So you're paying a guy at 33 years old 18 mil. Then you're going to be 34 and 35 when he gets off, and he's probably going to be about the same. That, in a way, is a win now move and not a future move.
Yeah, absolutely.
I question it, but then again, when a guy is on their last year of their deal, you can ship out a 1-year deal like there's no tomorrow in the NBA. So he's at $18.2 million. If you put in, where are you at? Jalen Smith, he's at 4.5. You're still not even close to there. You gotta up that. So you add in Landry Shamet, who is only making 3.7 this year. Next year is when he's going to be making the big pay bump. You do have a trade exception when it comes to that. So now you have to add even more. You can't add Nader or Peyton or Kaminsky or Wainwright. You're not going to want to add JaVale McGee. You just signed Bridges. Now you're talking about campaign. Is this where you unload Dario Saric? Are you going to unload Dario Saric for Eric Gordon? I don't know if I am. I'm looking forward to seeing what Dario Saric could do next year with JaVale McGee next to him. You know what I mean? Or Biombo. Because I mean, Dario's our backup for. It's not Jalen Smith. It's not Jalen Smith, in my opinion. He's definitely a 5, and they're trying to mold him to the 4. Yeah, he could grow into it, but he hasn't yet. When he was playing the 5, he was a lot better. Now that he's playing the 4, it's very questionable at best. So, are you willing to give up Dario Saric, Jalen Smith, Landry Shamet, and an Eric Gordon deal at this point? That's
like Dario's been very committed to this team, and he's put up with a lot. And like I don't think James Jones is the type of guy to trade someone while they're injured, and they've been listening and been part of the system for as long as he has.
I could see the Rockets wanting to take an injured player so that they continue to get like good picks and stuff. I could see that being a possibility.
I could too. But if it was me and looking at the landscape of, just the NBA and stuff, we're already on the top. Well, like we have the best record in the league. We're competing against the Warriors to represent the West. I don't think another team is relatively close. Maybe the Grizzlies if they go on a stretch, but the Grizzlies don't have like a second scorer. So it's like the Jaw show right now. So I don't know if they can really hold it for so long or it being sustainable, but it's just like I'm looking for the Western Conference Finals and like exactly what we're going to need. Like we need rebounding, we need defense, and that's really it. The scoring's there. It's just we just got to be more physical at the end of the day. And I like the Suns team like is built for sustainability, and we can keep this ball rolling, but we're not gonna be able to keep everybody at the end of the day. So if you can move anybody and you can get Dario off and get a nice piece back, I mean, like I'm not opposed to it at all. There was a lot of times where Dario just disappeared for 20 game stretches,
Yep, you're right. Also coming off an injury, coming off of COVID as well last year too. It's not like he was healthy throughout. And then when he got to the playoffs, he was a lot better, and he started making his 3 too. Once he started making his 3, everything just kind of opened up.
He was
for him.
streaky. He was streaky.
He was very streaky. For the record, Dennis Schroeder's at 5.8 mil, so you could trade for them straight up. But Schroeder is a 1-year guy, so he would be here for the rest of the year. And then what? I think I'd rather stick with campaign. I know Schroeder is a better player, But if you just want to win for this year, you probably make that move. If you want to win for a couple years down the road at a screaming deal with a campaign, that's kind of what you do. And I like what they've been able to do with piecing together the third backup point guard spot with Etuan Moore and Javon Carter last year, and now Alford Payton this year. So I like what they've been able to do there. I trust what they do. If we come out tomorrow and there's a trade for him, like I trust it.
I can't argue with it. James Jones has been batting 1,000. Just as a fan, I just want a scorer next to Cameron Payne when he's running the second unit, and I think Aaron Gordon will be great in that. It's just Landry Shamet just isn't getting it done right now, and these games are a lot closer than they should be. And the starting five isn't always there, but they usually close out 99% of the time. Like our bench was our strongest point last year, and now it's our weakest. So, we got to tighten the screws, man.
Yeah, and there's time. There's time to do it. Remember, there was 72 games last year. So at this point last year, there was 31 games left. There's 41 this year. So we've got an extra 10 games. So we are through the half point mark of the season. Good news for He's on Fire podcast fans. We are going to be back Sunday night, 9:30 local Valley time. We're going to have a lot of NFL playoffs to talk about. I can't wait for some of these games tomorrow. I'd like to go through some of the games with you if you'd like real quick. JJ, are you down with that?
Absolutely.
Let's start real quick because I need to get off here in about 5 to 10 minutes. We got some time. Let's start with the Raiders and Bengals. The line is Cincinnati at -5.5. Are you a fan of Cincy taking over the Raiders? Because I want to believe them. I want to say, yes, Joe Burrow this, Joe Burrow that. But at the same time, it's the effing Bengals. On the flip side, it's the effing Raiders. Like, there's no team you trust, right? So I think I will go with the home team and pick the Bengals, but I wouldn't bet on them at -5.5 right now. But I'll take the Bengals just because they're the home team and they overall have the better roster, in my opinion. Who are you going for?
This game is pretty interesting. I think it's pretty evenly matched. The Raiders have overcame a lot this season, and I want to give them applause for that. A lot of shit went down, but I got to go with Joey Burrow. He's been balling out.
Joey Burrow.
Very similar stats to Rodgers besides the interceptions. It's just that offensive line that kills that team, and I got Cincy. I'm not going to count against Carr. Carr's been great this year.
I thought he's been a lot better than people give him credit for.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, shout out to him. Just for him to make it, this far with everything that happened is a freaking miracle. So, but I got to pick Cincy.
Yep. Facts. Pats at the Bills. Bills have a better roster. Bills have the better quarterback. Bills have the better wide receiver. I just don't ever want to count out Bill Belichick, especially against a division foe in the first round of the playoffs. I just get a terrible feeling that the evil empire is going to come back and win with Mac Jones. Not necessarily like the Tim Tebow miracle to Demaryius Thomas, rest in peace. But I just get a feeling something like that weird is going to happen where they just keep it close, battle the third and shorts and make them punt, and then they're going to return one for a touchdown or block one or something like that sets them up for a field goal at the end. I just get the feeling the evil empire Patriots are going to win. What do you think?
This game's in Buffalo, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Oh, Todd lights Mac Jones. Hold on, Todd. I got something for you.
Rejected.
I just don't like anybody on that team, but I'm picking them, so shows what the hell I know.
So since it's in Buffalo, I think it's really going to be pounding the ground. It's going to be snowy. It's going to be
Bills Mafia. Oh, I can't wait for Twitter that morning. Bill Mafia is going to go crazy.
It's going to be a pain to play in all that snow and that cold wind and stuff. So the last time
the weather,
the last time these two teams played, the first time, the Patriots won and Mac Jones only threw twice. But the thing with the Patriots the last month and a half is that Mac Jones has been pretty awful, just throwing the ball consistently and just making kind of dumb decisions. I got to go with Josh Allen.
It's going to be 12 degrees and then 6 degrees in the evening.
Oh God,
It's going to be nice and frigid out there. I cannot wait to see all the dumb people going out with
those Bills
with
fans are
nothing on.
crazy. Yeah.
Wind 13, so it says right now it is 10 degrees there, but it feels like -6.
Oh, that's nice.
That
But
is going to be a cold fun game, you guys.
I got to go with the Bills. I think they learned from their mistakes. The second time those two teams played against each other, the Bills handed them a fat L. So I
Yeah.
think they're like Mac Jones. He just isn't all the way there, in my opinion. He still has a lot to learn. I think what he did this year was pretty great. I just don't think he can beat this Bills team.
I hope you're right. I really do. So those are Saturday's games. Sunday, 11 a.m. First off, Suns play the Pistons at 11 a.m. As a lot of people know, I went to high school in Michigan. I have a lot of friends in Michigan. So anytime a Phoenix team plays a Michigan team, I get a little bit more hype for that game. So I'm really hyped to play the Pistons, even though we should win. Are you assuming that we're just going to come out with a W without any weird COVID stuff going on, JJ? We're going to be able to beat the Pistons?
Anytime I see a 11 a.m. game, I just kind of put it down as a scheduled loss. But that's exactly what happened with the Boston game. I kind of figured we were going to lose that one. I don't know. It's just with these early games, I feel like we're not all the way there. So
sure, that's fair. We're only going from Indianapolis to Detroit. I mean, that's a 3.5 hour, maybe 4 hour drive. It ain't far. It's an 11 a.m. game. I'm sure they're already in Detroit after tonight's game, and they're comfy and cozy. They'll get some time. I could see them. They're going to pull it out.
I can see them winning.
They're going to. I don't know what the line is yet. And I wonder if Detroit plays tomorrow. If anybody knows, I'm going to look up NBA scores. If anybody knows what happens with that game, if Detroit plays tomorrow, let me know. But at the same time, we're going to have the Eagles at Buccaneers. Buccaneers, I think, are just going to not necessarily walk away with it, but I think they're going to win by 2 scores. I really, really do think Jalen Hurts could have a Michael Vick type of night or performance. Back in 2001 or 2002, I'm not 100% sure. The Falcons, with a young Michael Vick at that time, went up to Green Bay, the frozen tundra, had no business even being in the playoffs. He goes, explodes, runs all over them that game. And it might have been the best performance I've ever seen from an underdog team, especially in Michael Vick. That was such a special game. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, go look up Falcons at Packers playoffs and watch those highlights. They were incredibly fun to watch. So I just think Jalen Hurts, who's a special athlete, nobody is going to say otherwise. He might have some sort of that performance. Is it enough to take over Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Bruce Arians and company? I definitely don't think so. Crazier things have happened. But what do you think about this matchup?
I think it's going to be actually close. I think it's going to be like a 27-24 sort of thing with the Bucks pulling out. I think the Bucks are going to go into like an early lead, take their foot off the gas, and I think they're just going to start roaring. The Eagles are just going to start roaring back and just kind of make the game a little reachable. And I think the Bucks will just put it away at the end of the day. You can't really bet against Brady. So
yeah. For the record, the Pistons played the night. They beat the Raptors, who we just beat, 103-87 for the record.
Jeez.
Yeah,
Nice.
crazy. So they're not coming off of a back-to-back or anything like that. Next game, 49ers at Cowboys, which I think is going to be the most fun, if not the most intriguing matchup of the weekend. I'm picking the 49ers for sure over the Cowboys. And I was on with Quest for the West, and 49ers Cutback are good friends over there. They seem to think that, it's absolutely no problem that the 49ers are not only going to be able to cover the -3 spread, they're going to be able to take it to them and win. I completely agree. What do you think, JJ?
Yeah, I definitely think the Niners, they're just hot right now. And
Yep,
they're a team I definitely do not want to see in the playoffs. They're scary good, like their expectations in the beginning of the season, they were supposed to win the division and all that. And, injuries killed them, and now they're slowly regaining what the expectations were.
They're healthy.
The season.
They're healthy.
Yeah, they're healthy now. That's really just what it was. So I definitely I'll definitely be scared if I was a Cowboy fan.
I agree. Last one, Steelers and Chiefs. The line is negative -12.5 for KC. I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I don't know if it'll necessarily be a 2-score game per se, because you just never know when it comes to Mike Tomlin, but Chiefs are going to pull this one out, right?
Yeah. The Chiefs should win that.
Yep. Agreed. And then we get to our game, which we're not going to make any predictions quite yet. I didn't ask Bo that because he makes his predictions at a later podcast. I think Fridays, maybe Saturday, actually. I'm not 100% sure. But fortunately for us, Sunday night at 9:30 on Valley Time, we're going to be right back with everybody. We get to cover all the NFL playoffs that we just went over. We're going to talk about the Suns and the Pistons. Suns got 2 more games after that. Who do they play Tuesday? I'm pulling up their schedule. Do you know off the top of your head? They they play at Detroit, and then oh no, I forgot. They play at Detroit 11 a.m. then at San Antonio on Monday, the very next day. I forgot. Ew. I'm question. That's a questionable game. I know that Doug McDermott is currently out, and there's quite a few guys that are out. DeJounte Murray is playing at an exceptional level right now, so I'm worried about that game a little bit. That sucks. So we're going to be back Sunday night. We're going to be able to talk about that, preview the game. Fortunately for us as well, too. I don't know if you're going to be able to join, JJ, but Monday, 6 p.m. Valley Time, we are going to be not live streaming the game. We're going to be live streaming us watching the game and giving our commentary the whole time as well, too. We have 2 games going on. Not only is the Suns and Spurs a big game in its own right, because we need to be able to keep pace with these other teams in the West. We know that the Warriors lost last night. They won tonight, and the Grizzlies lost tonight. While we keep winning, we need to, just keep inching up a little bit and gain a little bit of space. So I think every game from here on out has its own big game viability, in my own opinion. So there's not only that game we get to watch, but then obviously the Cardinals and Rams game. So we're going to be with you the whole stream, the whole time for that game, giving you live reaction. We're going to have a couple pop-up guests that some people know and some people don't know during the time. Hopefully our co-owner of ASAP Sports, Jay Ness, drops in at some point. We're probably going to have Alex from 49ers cut back on, and I have a few tricks up my sleeves to get a couple more people on the stream. So hopefully we get a new guest like every quarter or something, so we can just keep it good, keep it fresh. And if we're losing, they can bring new energy, and if we're winning, they can bring even more energy. So a couple big streams coming up, you guys. Sunday night, previewing the game. That's going to be a good stream. I can't wait for Sunday night. That's going to be the build up. You're going to get all of our predictions and everything then. And then Sunday, starting at 6 p.m., you guys come check us out. So please share this stream, share out this podcast, hit the like button, subscribe to us. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Playlists, Spotify, all the good stuff. Hit us up on there. Please give us a 5-star review and interact with us. JJ, you want to leave us with any final thoughts that you got?
Man, shout out to Bo Brack for hopping on tonight. That was just great. I was geeking out, having
that was on, fun. So, thank you, Bo.
Yeah, that was really fun. And I'm just glad we have all these friends through the Arizona sports atmosphere, to support one another. And, because, we're not like LA sort of media recognition, we're all sort of scraping by, and yes, we can all entertain each other. So if we box ourselves in a corner just because of the teams we follow, I'm totally cool with that. Arizona sports till we die.
Ride or die. And we usually die. So shit.
Yeah, we're used to it. But man, yeah, definitely come out Monday. I am pumped to be live streaming that game. I have a lot of nerves, but I have a sort of good feeling, and it's the same feelings, knock on wood, that I had for the Cowboys game. It was nerves, and I was nervous, but I had a good.
You're confidently nervous.
Yeah, I'm confidently nervous. I hope Kyler has the best game of his career. I hope Jayyy Watt comes back and he's at least 80%. I hope we see Rondale Moore be back in the system. I hope Marco Wilson's shoulder is back. And I hope Byron Murphy just doesn't blow coverages, and and we don't see Josh Jones. But I am pumped for Monday, guys, and I hope you guys are too. Please join us. That would be really fun. Please join us.
That's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to.
And Amit will be here too.
Yep. Amit, we miss you. We miss our other co-host Amit. For those of you that don't know him, great insight, wonderful human being. We're fortunate to have him on. As I said, my confidence was going like this. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. I don't sugarcoat shit around here. I'm starting to go down a little bit, and I don't want anybody else feeling confident to feel that negative vibe that I'm putting out there. I just got to give it to you how it is. But maybe it's my nerves starting to creep up and the reality of it coming in. Who knows? The injury report is something to keep a track of tomorrow. Let's watch that. A lot of Twitter updates, and because we're going to be traveling on Sunday to get there, there's going to be a lot of stuff coming up on that. Monday is going to be crazy. Just what a time. What a time to be an Arizona fan.
Playoff football, and we're talking about it.
Playoff football. We're talking about it on Keys on Fire podcast. Join us Sunday night at 9:30 p.m. Valley time. Join us at 6 o'clock for the game on Monday. Thank you for tuning in. Let's go.
Easy sets. Loads up. And it is caught. Jalen strong. Blitz coming. Matthews. Palmer extending the play. Crosses the field. Larry Fitzgerald. There he scores. It's over. It's insane. To the 4-yard line. Prater looking, throws it alley. Oh! He puts it down. He puts it down. They're getting a little wobbly. They're down for